Welcome to this session as we take a look at searching Medline on the new EBSCO's user interface. So some of you may have already migrated to it, others may be awaiting that, but in any case, we'll just introduce you to some of the current developments and recent changes. So I'm Richard Crooks. I work for the EBSCO Customer Training Services team as a Senior Customer Training Specialist. I typically support customers in the UK, Ireland, and also more recently the Nordics. So I previously worked in the NHS myself as a Chartered Librarian in a variety of different roles. So glad you could join the session this afternoon. In terms of what we're going to cover, we'll look at new features. Some of you may have attended this session back in August when we started launching this in response to the developments with the new interface, but even so, you'll see something new today that you may not have seen before. We'll look at a live demonstration to go through the basic advanced search options, use of mesh, medical subheadings, and also filters and limiters, and also the application of tools to save and export search results, etc. And time permitting, we'll take some questions at the end. Obviously, feel free to raise any, add comments to the Teams chat as needed, and I will respond when I can. I don't have anyone monitoring that for me today, so I will need to keep my eyes open for those, but please bear with me. So in terms of the actual objectives, I hope that by the end of the session, within the next hour, you'll be able to recognize and locate the new features of the interface. You'll also be able to understand how to execute basic and advanced searches on this new platform, including the use of mesh terms, set up subheadings, filters, and limiters in Medline specifically. So some of you may have attended a recent CNL session like this, and there are some similarities, but there are also some differences, and we'll be introducing the advanced search results page in this session as well. And you'll be able to access and use various tools within the EBSCO's interface to manage your search results and so on. So that's what you're expecting in this review. We do have a variety of attendees today from the Sheriff Group of Libraries, plus NHS and also HSC in Ireland. So welcome to all. So for the benefit of those who may be new to Medline, I'm sure most of you aren't, but there may be some students here who are new to Medline, some other staff too. So I just want to go through a brief recap of what we're looking at in terms of the content coverage of this database. So it is, of course, the authoritative bibliographic database containing citations and abstracts for biomedical journals used by healthcare professionals, nurses, clinicians, and researchers. And in terms of the coverage, it ranges from the likes of general health, medicine, pharmacology, neurology, and so on to microbiology. So a variety of topics covered related to biomedicine. And in terms of the way in which it's ordered or structured, of course, Medline is indexed with medical subheadings. I already mentioned the mesh terms, which originate with the National Library of Medicine in the US. So these are arranged in a hierarchy that permits searching at various levels of detail, providing a more authoritative search experience because you're not just searching by keyword, you're also browsing the thesaurus to retrieve records that have been indexed or assign headings, mesh terms, to identify the actual content of an article, book, chapter, report, and so on. So this is updated annually. You'll see on the interface we currently have Medline Mesh 2025 indicated. Obviously, in due course, in the early new year, that will be changed to Mesh 2026. So it is updated annually. Also, just to give you some context to this session, obviously we are looking at Medline specifically. So there is the basic Medline abstract and in its only version, but you may have upgraded to other versions like Medline with full text, Medline Complete, or even Medline Ultimate, which is a larger number of active full text journals and magazines, and also a great portion of which are non-embargoed as well. So it will vary in terms of content coverage, in terms of what full text you get access to. However, the principles that we look at today, the ways of searching, filtering, etc., will be the same across any of these versions. So we are going to be using the basic Medline version, which is available within the NHS and also elsewhere. But again, some of the NHS trusts have also upgraded to other versions of Medline, and those in Sheriff and outside of Sheriff, etc., may also have more of the higher end versions also. So just a caveat there regarding the version that we're looking at today, but the principles and the features and functionality will be the same across the board. A couple of things to know at the beginning before we get into some of the newer features is the application of previous filters, limiters that were there in the classic Medline, and some of you are still using it. We have the EBM reviews filter, which limits your results to the following 6 titles. So that is something which can be selected on the advanced search page. So it'll limit you to Cochrane reviews, for example, content in ACP Journal Club, clinical evidence, evidence-based mental health and nursing, and also evidence reports and technology assessments. So you are, limiting it to a small set of titles, essentially, that apply very strict criteria and therefore include high quality evidence-based content, which would, of course, include systematic reviews. And certainly with Cochrane, that's what you'll get as well. So it means you can search for keywords, you can do some basic searching to quickly narrow down to evidence-based content using the EBM reviews filter. And so you may have used this previously on the classic interface. You can also use the clinical queries limiter as well, so you can refine your search using specific search strategies, hedges that the Health Information Research Unit at McMaster University in Canada have designed for the EBSCOhost platform. So this can be a way of filtering your results to these 9 research areas. So therapy, diagnosis, prognosis, reviews, clinical prediction guides, qualitative research, causation, costs, and economics. So for each of these 9 research areas, there are 3 strategies. And you can see that indicated in the screenshot there with therapy highlighted. So that's high sensitivity, which would mean it's a broad search. So in other words, it would include all relevant material when that filter is applied to your search results, but it may also include some less relevant content as well. In contrast, if you use the high specificity filter for therapy in this instance, then it's the most targeted search. So it will only retrieve the most relevant results set, but it may miss some others that could be of relevance to you. And of course, if you're unsure which to use, you may go for best balance, which achieves the best balance between sensitivity and specificity. So each of these research areas, each of these strategies has a definitive Boolean query associated with it, which you can see through EBSCO Connect, our main support site. So just to recap on a couple of key filters for Medline to get to the evidence quickly. And now we just take a review of some of recent features and enhancements to the interface, some which I'm sure some of you are already familiar with, maybe already aware of. Certainly if you've attended the CINO session, we've covered this as well, but there are some additional things. So the first thing is the EBSCO's new URL structure. So this is in contrast to what you used to do before, because now the browser address bar URL for any page is a permalink. So with classic interface, we used to have a dedicated link or permalink available, so you could link directly to that page. Now you can use the browser address bar URL. So that's a step forward with the new interface, which is not available in the classic EBSCOhost. In addition, there's an ongoing effort to constantly meet the accessibility requirements and guidelines for databases, etc., for all user groups. So the interface is responsive. You can use it on different size devices. So whether you're using a tablet, mobile device, desktop, laptop, etc. You'll find there's a simplified design. We often get comments about the white space on the interface, and this is intended to reduce the cognitive load for users. Also, there's the application of auto-suggest, auto-correct features. There's easier access to quick filters as well at the point that you need them. There is ongoing support for accessible ebook formats, including EPUB 3 and digital rights management as well. And you'll note there are headings and landmarks for screen reader navigation, so for the likes of JAWS and so on. Also, there's more descriptive text for non-text content, so for images and so on. There are transcripts for videos where appropriate. And also, in terms of the text-to-speech functionality, we have now included PDF full text articles. So in other words, not only can you download the MP3 file for HTML online content, but you can also do the same for any PDF article that's available too. And you can also listen to the reading of that online as well. So again, this is all in the name of supporting guidelines of WCAG, etc., and what's out there in order to ensure that the interface meets all the needs of a diverse group of users. In addition to that, for those of you who may have students from overseas, or maybe you have an overseas campus, for example, and you have users who would prefer to, use the interface in their own native language, we do support 33 languages, and Hindi was the most recent addition to those languages. So on this screenshot, you'll see the navigation panel, the dashboard area in Hindi, etc. Doesn't change, of course, the nature of the content of the items index, so the articles could be in other languages, etc. But there is an option within MyEBSCO. So if you're signed in as a MyEBSCO personal account user, you can configure the interface to display your preferred language. etc. So it can be modified within the interface itself. So this is an ongoing effort in support of globalization, because as you can appreciate, as an international company, we provide databases to multiple countries worldwide, etc., in different sectors. Okay, we've also enhanced the PICO app. Some of you may be familiar with it, especially if you're in the NHS or HSC, and that's been around for some time, but it now includes the T element, so it could be PICOT or PICO, if you prefer the other pronunciation. So time or type of study is included. So how long would it take to reach the desired outcome? It could be like a recovery period of 6 months and so on. What types of studies are needed? It could be a randomized control trial, for example. Now, as we probably know of experience in using these clinical frameworks, not all the fields would be relevant or required. Population intervention are required for the app itself, and that's also been applied to the NHS Knowledge Library Hub for those of you who work in the NHS in England. So what individual or group are we interested in studying? So the patient, the population, the problem, the intervention, what is the intervention or treatment being considered? So they are the required fields that must be for which you must enter data, terms. Comparison may not be appropriate, may not be applicable, and then outcome may also be applied. But again, all 5 elements are available through the app, and you can enter your keyword search terms line by line and run the search accordingly. In addition, you may wonder about the AI input to these tools, to this interface, especially in the age we are now in. And we do have a couple of things to introduce. One is the generative AI insights, which is basically where a large language model, which is Claude Haiku at the moment, is prompted to summarize insights from selected articles. And those selected articles are full text only. So also you will have some articles that have abstracts, others do not, and some have abstracts and full text content. So these insights are a summary of the full text content. They present 2 to 5 key points for each document in a consistent format. Okay, so they are available. And this essentially will reduce the time users spend searching for relevant full text articles, because it facilitates a more rapid review of content. Of course, you do expect them to read the article at some point, but it does summarize it in these bullet points, and you see an illustration of that on screen. So the AI Insight prompt uses the RAG method, the retrieval augmented generation, and that's intended to reduce the hallucinations. And in addition to that, EBSCO also reviews a representative sample of insights with subject matter experts, providing the human-in-the-loop intervention. And that's to check for bias, tone, accuracy, and also the timeliness of insights as well. So again, that's a feature. You need to place that order for this. There's no cost to it with the EBSCO account team that you're consulting before it can be enabled. So it's enabled in EBSCO Experience Manager, but before that can be enabled, it does need to be ordered through the EBSCO account team that is managing your account, as it were. So again, there may be consortia like the NHS in England that don't have this deployed yet. Other groups or libraries like Sheriff may be not yet available. It depends on your institution. It may be rolled out as a consortia. It may be individual case by case. But please consult your local EBSCO rep for more information on this. In addition, what has been rolled out and generally widely rolled out is the natural language search mode. Again, it's not something you're forced to embrace or take, but the NHS in England certainly have that available, and the feedback is very positive. And this essentially will allow researchers, users to search using everyday terminology in question or statement form. So it's essential that in using it, the words, the keywords you enter are in the form of a question or a statement. So it's not just general keyword searching. So it streamlines information retrieval. It's using everyday language queries, and also reflects the common experiences of using tools like Siri and Alexa, Gemini, and so on. So this feature, which we'll see an example of in the demonstration shortly, can be opted in, essentially. So it can be displayed. It can be defaulted to off, as it were, so it can be hidden in the first instance if you feel this is not appropriate, not helpful. But if it is displayed, it can be defaulted to off, so it's not a mandatory search, as it were. So again, you can choose that within the admin tool EBSCO Experience Manager. So that's something you can configure yourself if you have rights, admin rights to the interface. So again, for consortia like NHS England or the HSC, this may be centrally administered, etc. So that is available. And it's also applicable to the advanced search page as well. So it's treated as a search mode. So the default search mode for EBSCOhost is typically the proximity search, which has been relabeled or rebranded phrase for the NHS in England, but natural language search is a search mode, so you can switch it on the advanced search page temporarily and use it then as you need to. Okay, so it is available. Now, more recently, and you may have seen some updates about this in the last week or so, at the end of October, we launched the advanced search results list. So I'm sure many of you are happy to know that the search boxes are now displayed above the result list. So that's an ongoing thing. So that will be displayed. And this is for the advanced search page, by the way, not for the basic or standard search. So the search history is also displayed, and you're able to combine searches using the and or operators within the interface. And the results also contain additional metadata. So you'll see volume number, issue number, page numbers, and the total page count given in the citation fields as well. So essentially, you have the search boxes, the search history displayed. Okay, so just to highlight then some of the key things here, you have the improved button designs, you have all searches displayed with the set numbers indicated, the applied parameters, so the search mode you're using, the application of expanders like apply equivalent subjects is indicated, hit counts are given in the results column, the database or databases are indicated with the icon on the right, and also there's an actions menu, which means you can edit a search, a line of search, you can delete it if it's an error, or if it brings back 0 and you want to remove that, in which case the search strategy will be renumbered, resorted in sequence, as it were. And also it's synchronized with the My Dashboard recent activity as well. So that would also be recorded in the recent activity area. So to give it a bit of a clearer view, you can see here the 3 rows are maintained on the advanced search page. Below that, you'll see the search history on the standard results list. There are options to hide it as well. And you can resort the numbering of the order of the search. By default, it's displayed in reverse chronological order, but you can resort so it's displayed in sequence. And there's also the option to edit the search, as I mentioned. So if you end up with 0 because there's a typo, you can go in and edit in just that query string, and then it will rerun. You can add it to a project, so you can save it at the end to a custom folder. And if you need to, again, if there's an error or the results bring back 0, you can delete the search string line by line as needed. So just to clarify, this is something which, again, we're not mandating, we're not suggesting or advising that everyone has this available. This will be deployed for probably most of you, but it's something which will need to be switched on, enabled. So it's not switched on by default. I had a session today with an Irish university, just demonstrated it, but they will discuss about the application of this, which I think they're going to apply it. I think they like what they saw. So again, and that's done in EBSCO Experience Manager. Some of you may not have responsibility for admin tools, but EBSCO Experience Manager is the later or newer admin tool that complements EBSCO admin. But in this scenario, you can choose the default search landing page. It can be the advanced, which was what we will see. And then below that, there is another feature, the advanced search results page. And it's either standard or advanced. So advanced means that you will see the search history displayed. And I think we've had a comment in the Teams chat, so I'm just going to refer to that. Okay, from Nicola. So she had a quick look at this new search history function today. Okay, yeah, about adding a database on at the end of your search. Sometimes our students do. Okay, yeah. So we can feed back to our product management team about this, about any comments you have, any experience of using it, good or bad. We can feed that back to the product managers. There will be more features in the future coming out, and we'll see the roadmap a bit later, which outlines that. Okay, so only shows the final set of results from the additional databases. The previous search lines don't refresh with additional databases. Okay, so we'll probably need to follow that up with our product managers as well. So they do appreciate the feedback, because also you're the people who are working with this and interacting with students, with your staff, etc., healthcare professionals as well, if you work in the NHS and HSC. Yeah, okay, you can refresh the results across all databases. Okay, but we'll see it live in a moment. Some of you may not have seen this yet, so for those who haven't, obviously it'll be quite new to you. So we are going to go to live demonstration. So I'm going to go through the natural language search initially before we go on to other aspects of searching, but I will, at least to begin with, just refresh you with the navigation in terms of what we see on the screen here. So hopefully you can all see MEDLINE. I'm just going to make this the full screen here. And this is a demonstration site, by the way. But you see the advanced search page. This is the common entry point. You have got basic, or as we're referring to it more and more as the standard search page, which gives you the single search box and options to limit to full text. Linked full text indicating that this is an abstract and in its only version of MEDLINE. However, you can incorporate links from other MEDLINE databases, or sorry, not MEDLINE, other full text databases that you have access to through EBSCO on the EBSCOhost interface, and that's using smart linking to transfer those links to the appropriate article within MEDLINE, the basic version. So if an article indexed in MEDLINE is also available full text in, say, CINAHL Complete, then that smart link will be transfer the full text content to MEDLINE. And it can also include open access content plus any link resolver related content like libkey from Third Iron or Full Text Finder. Peer reviewed. Much of what you'll find in MEDLINE is peer reviewed in any case. Available in library collection, I think that's one of my colleagues has added this. So we won't cover that today. That's a customized option. And then all time here, okay, which is the publication date. But I would say probably for most of you on this in this webinar today, probably won't be defaulting to this screen unless you have profiles, for example, for undergraduates or new users, etc. So you can have different profiles for different aspects of the database, so advanced searching, standard searching. But I think most of you will be going to advanced search. But you'll see the natural language search here. It's displayed, but it's off at the moment, so you need to switch that on. So that feature, if we go to advanced search now, once you switch that on, if you go to search options below, you'll see it now selected as the search mode. So by default, for the EBSCOhost in general, proximity is the default search mode, okay, for MEDLINE. Now, if you wonder what each of these does, we do have the support page under EBSCO Connect here, and that will give you a breakdown or a detailed look at each of those search modes and what they do. So for example, proximity searches for words in any order using the near operator. So web near 5 words or less of accessibility, or accessibility near 5 words or less of web. Now, there's one qualifier to this. In the NHS in England, proximity has been changed to phrase, so it's been relabeled, which you can do. And it's also been reconfigured behind the scenes so that it's W0 within. So basically the words will appear near each other. So if you put in childhood W0 obesity, that means childhood obesity will be a phrase essentially. So you don't see the operator, it's behind the scenes. So again, there's some customization that can take place. Again, if you're a consortia, you don't really have control over that. You can advise colleagues on that. But if you are a university library service and you have responsibility for the administration of EBSCOhost, then obviously you can tweak it to suit your user groups and so on. But the key one I want to highlight here was the natural language search here, which we'll look at. So there's more information on this, and there's also the link to configuring the search modes as well on this page. But the bottom line is that you can find more information about the search modes, likewise below that with the expanders. So there's a third one missing here, which is the search within full text. Again, these were also applied to the classic interface as they currently are when it's still around. But again, these can be customizable. You can have these all off or default them on, etc. And you can hide them if you need to hide them. So the search within the full text option is not showing currently on this particular setup, as it were. And again, there is a link to EBSCO Connect for more information on those. I won't, because of time, I won't go into all the details there, but I'm just going to check if there's any other comments. Okay, so Ellen has also commented on it as well about the search history. So I think I'll come back to this because we'll look at it live in a moment. So in addition to the search options you've just seen there, we've got the filters here. So these can be applied to searches when you're using the multiple rows above. And for your information, you can add more rows. You can add searches line by line, so you can add up to 12 rows here. By default, it's 3. Okay, and then you have the filters, including EBM reviews, which I mentioned earlier in the PowerPoint. So that can be applied to your search, as can systematic reviews. You have available date there, publication author, and the clinical queries are also listed here. So when you enter searches above, these can be applied. So we may see an example of that in a moment. And we have search options again, publications, if you want to see what publications are indexed in MEDLINE. So as opposed to Classic, which had the publications link on the top left toolbar. Publications is now a tab within the interface, and you can browse the alpha menu, the listing below, or you can search for a publication. And then we have the mesh headings as well here as well. Okay, so just to clear then, just to go back to the natural language search, and I think I'll just demonstrate it on the, let's see, now let's go back here, new search. So I'll just put that on here under search options, natural language search, and we'll add the query. So this one is on in compliance with dialysis at home. So how to improve, okay, so how to improve compliance, I think that's correct, with dialysis at home. Okay, so again, you can render it slightly differently than that, but basically, as we run this search, it will construct the query behind the scenes, and we should be able to see that in a moment, not in the results, but also the query itself. So we're just waiting for that to complete. Okay, so let me see. Now, it might not be displaying on this advanced search page, so I might need, let me see here. Okay, so I might need to go back to the basic search screen. So I'm not sure it's displaying currently on the advanced search page. So what I might do here is go to new search. I'm going to go to switch to basic search actually. Let me do that here. In fact, let me go to basic search here, and I'll see if I run the same query. And let me just make sure that's switched on as well. Okay, dialysis at home. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I know there have been some issues recently with the display of the refined query. Unfortunately, this is an example where this has not been resolved on this particular demo site, but so unfortunately I can't show that specifically. But basically where it says this comment here about the natural language search, there is typically a refined search query link, and that will give you the detailed Boolean query for this search. But again, there were some issues with it, I think, last week. Anyway, it's probably not rectified for this demonstration site or for my account, so I'll probably have to refresh that. But that would normally appear here and will give you the query constructed. The point of it is it's pretty intuitive, very quick, and we'll obviously home in on specific results. And you can see the results below, as you see in the yellow that's highlighted, and so on. So you can review those, etc. And you can sort by the most recent if you prefer as well. Obviously going to be less relevant, but more recent. So again, you see the keywords are highlighted in yellow and the key terms are also highlighted in bold. So some of you may have already tried this out, been using it. I know the feedback has generally been positive from within the NHS, from clinicians as well. So again, it's something which is intuitive, just entering a query, making sure that that is on. But of course, as we know, it is off by default. Okay, so you need to switch that on. So again, there's more information. There's FAQs on this as well to give more information on that. So in terms of other things, so just to mention, obviously I mentioned the MEDLINE, the mesh headings. So again, you can search for mesh term. So for example, if we go for flu vaccine here and then run the search, you'll see the prompt to use the correct mesh term for this intervention. So I've got flu vaccine, C, use influenza vaccines. And you see other possible, and you see that it's down there as well. But if you click through to the actual mesh term, it will give you the scope note, as you see above, gives you the option to select it, and also what it's used for. So if you were to search for any of these terms, it will be mapped to this particular mesh term. You see the history notes, annotations, and also the tree, the hierarchy of mesh. So obviously within biological products, complete mixtures, chemicals and drugs. Okay, and you can see influenza vaccine there, and you can select that from here. Again, it brings up the scope note, but it also gives you the additional subheadings as well. So for example, if you're looking at adverse effects, you can select that option. You have the scope note to again determine if that's the most relevant subheading you want to use, and so on. So again, depending on the nature of your query, you may or may not want to use the subheadings, but you're not compelled to, of course. So again, that's just a quick way of just exploring the thesaurus with the scope note, with what it's used for, and any history notes, which may detail when it was first added, etc., and so on, or updated compared to previous terms as well. So what I might do at this stage is just do a quick search, and then we'll look at the search history itself. So first of all, just to clarify, if, say, for example, you want to run a search and apply the EBM reviews filter to this search, then you can do that here. So for example, if we are looking at, let's go for gastroesophageal reflux disease, so GORD or GERD, okay, or gastroesophageal reflux, and if I add intervention, so PPIs or proton pump inhibitors, and I'll put quotation marks for that as well, pump inhibitors, okay, then I can, I've done a search here. It's unqualified. I can use, of course, these fields as well. So title abstract now, you can search them simultaneously, etc. You've got the subject headings there as well, other options, etc. And likewise for the second field, if you want to use those fields as well, or do a general unqualified search, and then just using the filters, as you see here with EBM reviews, I can just run the search like so and bring back potential results there, not knowing what I will get as such. So you'll see the results below. Okay, so this is from Cochrane, of course. In fact, the first couple are from Cochrane. And of course, you want to filter those, you can go to all filters. You can see that's been obviously selected. And you can see source types. These are obviously journals. These are all indexed in MEDLINE, of course. And below that, if you look further, you'll see the publisher or publication, etc., where they're appearing. Obviously, majority from Cochrane, then Clinical Evidence, ACP Journal Club. So I mentioned before, the EBM reviews filter does limit results to these 6 titles in total, where they apply strict criteria. So if you want to select Clinical Evidence, for example, then apply that, and you would filter it to those 5 items. Okay. Now, as I'm done this, you notice the search history has popped up as well. So I will go back through this again in a moment, because I think there's a better way to show you this when we actually construct a search, but again, to illustrate some of the elements that are available. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to clear these for now. We have got some, there is the ability to bulk delete searches to some degree in the interface now. If I go to recent activity, for example, this is tracking my search history as well. But you'll notice now, compared to what we would have seen a couple of weeks ago, there's this little bin now, this dustbin here. So if I select these searches, I can now delete these en masse, or I can select one and delete one line, as it were. So this is a new feature, the ability to delete the search history in that way. Okay, so that option is now available. Okay, at least for that element. Now, if you want to go in to run a search now, a more extensive search, we can do that. So again, if we wanted to search for keywords and, within the title abstract combined with the mesh terms, we can do that, and we'll see that appear in the new search history. So we are going to be running more in-depth searching on the platform in December. I'll share more about that later. So I'm going to go through this quite quickly, but we are going to be doing more in-depth searching, where you can incorporate wildcards, proximity operators, and all that kind of thing. So this is just kind of a basic introduction, and some of you already commented and you've seen this, so bear with me as I go through this, and no doubt there may be other comments or questions coming up as well as we go through this. So I'm going to stick to the same search as before. So again, run this search. I can edit it in a moment as well. So I'm going to do GERD or gastro. And I'm going to make this a, let's see, a title abstract search in a moment. So just as I complete this, I can also show how to edit a search if I make mistakes. Okay, and then I can just use title abstract here. So where it says title abstract, it will search the terms, these keyword search terms within the title or abstract, not necessarily where they appear together. Okay, within both fields. So there is some discussion going on about rendering this or abstract, so it's a bit clearer. So I can apply this and I can run the search here. Okay, and you'll see that's now appeared. So the 3 rows are still there. My search history is now appeared. My search is now appeared. So that first line, which is on the title abstract search, is now shown below, and the results are below that. So the next thing I want to do is combine that with the subject heading. So if I go to the MEDLINE Mesh 2025 link under Research Tools, click that. and I'm going to just clear the screen, and I'm going to search for this in, let me just do, if I can do the acronym, might be able to do that. Yep, gastroesophageal reflux is shown here. So I can select gastroesophageal reflux, and this time you'll see the explode option is also selected. So that would include any narrow terms. If I want to know what they are, click the link to the subject heading. Again, the scope notes there, what it's used for. History notes is also featured there as well. And then you can see the tree hierarchy. And you can see here, gastroesophageal reflux also includes this one and this one. Okay, these two as well. Okay, so there is the major concept feature option still for this new interface, and that is where it's the primary subject matter of any item indexed with that term. So again, I'm not going to use that for now because I can combine it with the intervention. So I can add this to the search. You'll see it appears in the top row, and we've got MH that indicates the mesh search, and the exact mesh heading as indicated also. And I'm going to remove this as well back to all fields, and then you'll see MH is there, exact subject heading. So this is the mesh term for GORD or GERD, as it were, and reflux disease. So if I click search here, and again, the search history displays, and the second element, the second string appears. So I've got the keyword search within title abstract fields. I've got the subject search. So what I can do here is combine the two with the Boolean OR. So I can select both sets here and combine with OR here. Now, when I do that, you'll see the combination appears on the top search box, and then I can click search here. That will then be added to the search history. So you can now see we've got the combined sets here, and I can now run the next term, which of course, as you might guess, relates to proton pump inhibitors. So I can go through the same process. I can add PPI or proton pump inhibitors. This will have the quotation marks just for sake of time. Title. Okay, inhibitors. Okay, and then choose title abstract and run the title abstract search here for this intervention. Click search, and that will be added as S4 for the search. Again, notice that it's displayed in reverse chronological order, but it can be resorted using ID, and you can see the sequence that we're in. Okay, so at each stage, and I'll do the subject search list in a moment, you'll see we've got the set number, we've got the search string, you've got the parameters, the search options. So it tells us we're using this proximity searching, although the use of field codes typically overrides the search mode, and also apply against subjects. So they're detailed here. We are using the field codes essentially. The number of results displayed, the database we're using. So MEDLINE, of course, here is indicated. And then there are the tools. So for example, if I wanted to edit a search string like S4, I can go in here, click edit search details. It brings up this page, and I can go to the query to edit the search. So this time I'm going to add a particular PPI, meet result. Okay. And then update the search. I close this. Okay, and I close this. And when you see the search history displayed, you'll see I've now added omeprazole. Okay, so it's now updated. Okay, now it's resorted the search to the reverse chronological order, but I can take care of that when I've completed my search to update that. So the next element, of course, is the actual equivalent mesh term. So I go to MEDLINE Mesh 2025 under Research Tools. I'm just going to clear this. I'll search for it here. So proton pump inhibitors. Okay, and then search for it. So I'm browsing the mesh thesaurus, and unsurprisingly, it's there. Okay, again, you can click through to the heading itself to see the scope note, what it's used for. So obviously, study was used in 2008. You can see the previous indexing prior to that time as well. These are the history notes. And again, you can add this. So you'll see it featured here. Okay, so again, it's displayed there as well, and you can obviously add this to the search. Okay, and then click search here to run that. So That again is added, and you'll notice also the search history can be collapsed, it can be hidden. That was an experience of Classic as well, and you can focus on the sets of results, but it hasn't disappeared in the sense it's just been collapsed, so you can view it now. And then what we can do with these two sets, combine S4 and S5 using the Boolean OR here. I'm sorry, it's gone divided to my multi-databases here, but I think we'll still be looking at, if I'm correct in saying, yeah, you can see now what's happened because I'm using a demonstration site which actually has multiple databases selected in the background. It's now listing all the databases where it's retrieving results from, but I could probably rectify that if I go back here and just try to go to MEDLINE here. I need a separate profile, I think, for just MEDLINE. So I can then combine the two sets again. So I'm going to do that here. Let's see. So let me just delete this. So this is an example where you can delete. So you can go in. In fact, delete this one. This is actual. So this is MEDLINE. This is the multiple database. So I can delete this line now. So I can go into Tools, delete this set. It always checks if I want to do that. And then, so I can remove that set. Okay, I'm now back to the purely MEDLINE results. So I can combine S4, S5 with OR, click search, and then that set will be added to the search history under the advanced search on the advanced search page. So now I've got those two sets, and I'll just resort them here. So S3 for gas-reduced reflux, and then the proton inhibitors. So I combine S3 and S6 together with the Boolean and then click search here. Okay. So, and then you can see the results below. And yeah, so we combine the two sets, the title object searching and the subject search for the condition, and then the intervention, and they're displayed below now with these results here. And again, you can see MEDLINE is what I'm using, and you can, edit the search, add to a project, delete, etc. as well. So again, add to project means you can set your own custom folder for this. So at this stage, again, if you are looking, for example, to filter this and you want to focus on a particular age group or gender, then you can go to all filters here and then choose it from the right-hand column. So for example, if we go to age here, we'll go to middle age. Okay, and gender will go for male. And then we could also apply language, English language as well, and apply those filters to this set. Okay, and notice when you do that, again, this is for reporting purposes. And I know, our team at EBSCO have been very much involved in trying to understand Prisma and the application of Prisma when you're checking the searches and so on, and incorporating various features which will be relevant. And under search options, you do see, of course, the additional filters here as well. So not only do we have the search mode indicated, which may or may not be relevant, as well as the expander, but you do have also the filters that are being applied to this search, and then the results associated with that. So this set of results based on the application of those filters as well. Yeah, a comment there from Nicola. It would be good if the database did the search automatically when you press combine with and or combine with or, rather than having that extra step. Yes, I mentioned this myself, so we'll flag that as well. So I will collate these comments and questions. I will feed back to our support team, so that will go to product management to review. I believe there's a review meeting coming up at some point, but that has been noted. Okay, so I appreciate that. I'm showing you what there is at the moment. Obviously, this could be enhanced further at some point, but this is what is live, and it is working now as it is. Okay, so I've applied those filters. Obviously, the other quilt filters still displayed as well. So in terms of the actual processing of these results, then obviously it depends on the nature of your search. You could be doing a more systematic literature search, could be a systematic review specifically, and obviously you could be processing a lot of results. There are options, of course, here. So, for example, you can select up to 50 records per page still currently, and you can download them. So you can click the download option here, and you can download a choice of formats. And of course, we support Word with a new interface as well. Or if you prefer a table, we've got CSV, For those in the academic community at universities, you've got BibTeX also supported as well. So those options are available. You can save these records, and once you save them, the default folder is the saved folder under my dashboard. So this is the generic folder for saving records. Now, so you can add them here. Okay, so you can select from here, and you can also, download them further and add them to a project. Now, I'm not saved in currently, so what I'll do, I'll save in here, because if you want to save records beyond the session, if you want to use the export feature and set alerts and so on, you need to be signed in. So to sign in is simply to use the My EBSCO folder account, which is, I'm sure, very familiar to most of you who've used EBSCOhost in the past. And we can add, you can add your credentials, or if you don't have one, you create the account here and enter the details here. So your name, first name only is required, last name is optional, email address, you create the password, agree to the consent form, and then you can sign in here. So you can sign in here, and this will allow you to save records beyond the session and also save your search as well and export as well. Okay. So you'll see I've got some records already saved here previously. I've got a search here saved also previously as well, but we'll come back to that. So I'm going to go back to the search page. So I'm just going to go back in and just do that. So we're waiting for me just to go through to this. Okay. So again on this screen, and we're looking at results, you can add them to the project as well. So for example, again, let me just make sure I'm signed in here. That I'm signed in here, it's good. Okay, so I can select these, sorry, not those, select these, and then you can add to a project. So a project is simply a custom folder. So if you record class interface, you had the My Articles folder where everything was stored automatically. If you wanted to create a separate folder, your own custom folder in relation to an evidence search, for example, this is the equivalent. So you choose a project if you have one already created. Otherwise, you can create a new one. So I can create a new one here, and you get this form. You can add the title. So I'll put GERD and PPI. Okay, if you have a timeline, a deadline that to complete the search by, you can specify that here. So I'm going to go for the 2nd of January. You can add a description. It could be for a department, it could be for a clinician, etc., and create that one here, and you get confirmation it's been created. So that's stored in projects. You can also save the search there as well. So if you want to save this search, for example, use the tools menu, click save search. You get the search string is the actual search name, which is a bit complicated there. So we can clear this, and you can add the name here. So for example, we can just put in, again, GERD and PPI, okay? And I've done this before, as you can see. Again, the description is optional. You can copy the search string, by the way, from the clipboard here, and then cut and paste that into the database. Otherwise, scroll down and you can save that. So just to highlight this quickly, that project folder on the left under my dashboard now features another project. I've got others here previously, one I created this morning. So this is the new project. If I click on that, you'll see it gives me the due date and also the records I've saved and also the search. Now, with this, actually the search is not saved yet. Interesting. I know why. I go to saved here. Oh, sorry there. I can then move this to a project. So I can add it to the project here. So I've got my results. So in this project here, I've got my record saved and my search also. Notice on both of these now, this is a new feature. You can bulk delete. So you can go through this list. If you don't need all of these, for example, then you can just go in, either choose a couple of these and delete, or you can delete the whole list. Okay, so you can select all records here now and delete and clear the screen. So that's a new feature. You can do that. So also you can, however many are displayed per page. Likewise with the search, you can go in and delete, save, or select and delete it from here as well. You can also edit the search as well, or at least view the search, change the name, copy the clipboard, etc. Okay, and also again delete from here as well. Also recent activity, you can also delete from here as well. So you can go in, either delete line by line, or you can delete the complete search history here. Okay, and if you sort by oldest, you'll see the sequence, but this is in recent activity as opposed to the search results list. One thing I will show you also on the result list, if we go back, that is the option to download the search history. So obviously it's all well and good having it displayed on the screen as you see here, and I'll just resort this, but you can now download this. So for example, if I select these, select the download option, I can download into a preferred format, again, PDF, Word, table. If you want a table of the search, you've got CSV there, and I'm going to use RTF here and then download it. Okay, let's just ask a question, which I'll come back to in a moment. So just save here, and then I'll open this up, and I'll need to drag this from my other monitor. So I just drag this across. This is now the search history. So I've exported in rich text format, so you can save it as a Word document, whatever, edit it, and it gives you the set number with the query and the various elements to detail, the results, the search mode, etc., database used, and so on. So that's displayed here. So that's downloaded from the search results page, as you saw there. So just quickly then, I know we're getting towards the end of the session, so just quickly in response to Liz's question here, can you go through the results and select individual results? So, okay, so I think, let me just see this, interesting. Yeah, so if we go to, I don't know, say I'll just S3 see these, and then Delan, yeah, so you can download, I think you can, let me do it in Word this time, actually let's do it in PDF this time, see what that looks like. Okay, and you can see that, yeah. So I've downloaded just 3 sets as opposed to the whole search history. So you can select individual. I'm not sure if that's okay. So in terms of, so that's downloading the actual search for those set numbers. In terms of actual adding them to the project, you cannot do that right now. You can only add individual lines to a project. So for example, the final set below S8, where we filtered, I can add this to a project here. So I can choose a project or add it to an existing one here, add that. And now I go to projects, choose the same name, go to PPI, and I imagine it's here. Yeah. It's the same thing essentially. So I just literally just added the final set of results based on the previous search query, and that's there. And you can go in and view that here, as you can see. So again, so you could, in theory, just add a single line of a search to a project. Okay. Also, just to add while we're on this page, for those who have not migrated to, and even if you have the option to get a report for previously created folders and content in folders. So if you have a EBSCO account and you've been using the folders in Classic, including custom folders, you can get a report now on that. And that is available till the end of December. That may be extended. I imagine that might be extended. I can't say for sure, but it might be. So I click Get Report here. It will switch to Download Report. This is a demo site, by the way, so it may not quite function as it should. And then you would download. It does not on this demo site, but maybe because I don't use it enough. But basically, it'll create a spreadsheet with those records. And yeah, so I think, Nicholas responded to the question, you can use the bookmark icon. Yeah, so essentially, if we go into the search, okay, so I'm just going back into the search, if I go into this one again, and bring up those results. So you can see the bookmark icon adjacent to each record there, and you can do the same for the complete listing as well. And you can add them directly to a project if you need to, okay, when you've run that, okay. So I appreciate we're kind of getting a bit pushed for time at the moment. I'm going to see if there's anything else I should have covered. Yeah. Okay. And by the way, the citations tool is also available. Okay. So by default, you can set the selected, you can determine as the administrator, if you have those rights, to choose the appropriate reference style. So for example, in NHS England, it's Harvard. For those who specialize maybe in my mental health, behavioral science, it could be APA 7th edition. For the APA databases, etc., you can copy that to the clipboard, or you can export citations in that format according to the preferred tool, as it were, our RIS format, RefWorks, and so on. So the cite option is there as well. And just mention while I'm here, if I go to link full text here, just to also show you the text-to-speech software that's available for records. So you'll see we've got access options here. This one is available in both PDF and online full text. Online full text has the additional advantage of having machine translation software. So you see the tools to cite, add to the project, share, which means you can save to OneDrive, Google Drive. You can create a link here as well, and download and print. But you also have the icon there to translate, so you can translate to another language. I know in the past I've done Welsh and Gwelga. If I translate this to German, for example, if you speak German, then you can translate it from English to German, etc. And of course, it works vice versa as well. Okay, so obviously it's a machine translation. It is provided by Microsoft. So if you're a native speaker, if you study the language sufficiently, then also you'll know the reliability of that or not. But that is provided by Microsoft, and that's available for online full text. And in terms of the PDF articles, you can also download the MP3 as well. So I'm just going to quickly show that on here. So both HTML and PDFs can be downloaded. An MP3 file can be downloaded, or you can listen to it online. So you see the headset icon on the top right, just the other tools, you'll see there's a download option, or you can play it online and listen to it being read to you. So it's available for both formats of this interface. I'm going to jump back to the PowerPoint, and it's good to have the questions and comments as well. I know for many of you, it's still in the pipeline for migration, so there's still time for other changes to take place. But for those who have it already, it is live, it is working. The roadmap is available at ebsco.com/roadmaps. And if you go to Research Solutions, you'll see there is a page. Now, on this page, it does say bulk delete from search history. That has been released to some degree. I don't think it's been officially announced, but as you saw today, there are some options to delete results and also searches as well. So that might be, I imagine that would also be applied to the search history on the advanced results page, but that hasn't happened just yet as well. But you can delete individual lines of searches, as you saw earlier. So again, it's worth checking this from time to time. And EBSCO Connect is also home to the release notes page. We like to be transparent what's happening. So again, it's worth checking that page from time to time to see what's coming, what's happened, etc. with various interfaces, not just EBSCOhost. And also for those who want to be updated monthly, there is a EBSCO Interface Insights newsletter. So this is a free newsletter that will arrive in your inbox, and that will give you more information about the changes that have happened or are coming regarding EBSCOhost and so on. And of course, we have, probably many of you are involved in supporting systematic reviews, running searches, evidence searches, and so on. And we do have this updated page on EBSCO Connect, which will indicate some of the enhancements that have recently occurred and also what's coming soon as well. So we're very conscious of the need to support yourselves, especially those using Prisma and others tools, to ensure that your reviews are, the searching that you're doing is in line with current guidelines, checklists, and so on. So again, there's an ongoing effort to ensure that there is compliance with that, and this will help you to determine, what is there already to reflect that. In terms of training support, we do have some links here in the PowerPoint, which you have a copy of post session at some point on the new interface. There's a quick user guide for that as well, which gives you a lot of the detailed features that we've touched on today. And also we do have a site management system, a case management system. So for those in the NHS, typically you'll be using, in England, you'll be using the service desk, but for those outside NHS England, so HSC, in academic institutions, you may have your own channels. But for EBSCO, if you want to report a case, need to report a case to us, this is probably the best option because it'll be logged, it'll be tracked, and it also means that colleagues in your institution can also see reported cases. So although you have your own individual login, once you request an EBSCO Connect account, they'll be linked together to your institution, and then you can view what others have posted. So no duplication of effort. And we do have obviously training resources. We have the portal, which is intended to provide kind of one-stop shop for those that relate to healthcare databases like MEDLINE, Sino, and so on. And we do have training sessions there. We have recordings. This will be included in the training video section, which is the YouTube channel. And just to let you know, a heads up, we are running in a couple of weeks with my colleague Yosra, who's based in Cairo. So she supports librarians, library staff, universities, etc., hospitals in the Middle East and North Africa. So we're teaming up to provide this session on advanced searching using PICO. So again, feel free to join that session. I believe it's been mailed out to a number of you already. There's a QR code in this PowerPoint, so you can sign up for that, and that will be running in 2 weeks' time. And I've also just recently scheduled new sessions for December. Bear in mind that this interface has now been updated with the search history, and we will be looking at exploring more in-depth searching for systematic reviews, systematic searches. So again, you may want to explore the page there to sign up for those sessions as they come up. I can get back to you, Liz, about that question as well about the switch over to the interface. So again, there's various timescales for switching over. Some will do it sooner and later, but again, it is live for some. It is available now as it is, as you see, but some will be adopting this in the near future. Okay. Anyway, thanks for your attendance. Thank you very much.